Hello everybody, welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, before I proceed, I also publish on Rumble for extra support, Patreon, PayPal, all that stuff. I'm also on Twitter, tweeting updates and stuff. And so let's go. Not a lot of stuff here. It's Saturday, so very quiet on the home front. Seems that MSI now is ready for the 14th Gen Raptor Lake refresh. CPUs. It's a mess. Intel on the CPU front is getting a lot of confusing for me when I try to keep it up with all this stuff here with the 600 and 700 series motherboards BIOSes. So supposedly they already have new BIOSes to support this refresh here. And supposedly will also enable support that are expected to launch in a few months. So we still have to wait for the CPUs itself. But as you can see, we have a list here of the motherboards from MSI. Usually, I tend to prefer, since I've been using computers and DIY market, I tend to prefer MSI. Even in the older days, like almost 20 years ago, even before all this kind of stuff happening, Asus at the time was pretty good, but very expensive, at least in my market at the time. I always prefer MSI. They have a good, very competitive prices, and the performance usually it's on par there. And regarding, I never had any issues regarding MSI stuff, motherboards, even GPUs. I never tend to use even PSUs. PSUs usually I tend to go for Kunamy Master, but now the Corsair stuff is pretty decent, and they usually are very reliable. Even Kunamy Master still is, but I think it's a little bit more expensive than it should be. But that's another conversation for another day. But yeah. Supposedly, these BIOSes also will improve memory OC rule and compatibility, so higher clock memory. They will also be launching refreshed LGA 1700 socket motherboards with support for brand I/O features such as Wi-Fi 7 and 5 gigabit eLAN, which is good to have this kind of upgrades as soon as possible. But yeah, gotta say a little bit here from the refresh info here. But yeah, I usually it's so confusing, Intel, and the fact that they at the moment have every like 2 generations or so, so around every 3 years, give or take, in average, you basically have to buy everything new from at least a motherboard with a new CPU if you want to upgrade that. Even though they are very good, but they spend a lot of energy to do the same thing that the AMD is now doing, because AMD is very good. Even in the low end, they tend to be pretty competitive in terms of performance. Regarding their price to performance is very good. They're usually they're a little bit cheaper, and they tend to consume with this. With Ryzen, they tend to consume a little bit less energy to do the same thing. They have the same kind of cores. They don't use the E-core stuff. Of course, in some cases, specific cases, Intel just not demolished, but it's more competitive in certain things. Usually, it's more productivity work, and I think it has to do a lot more with the legacy of the market share and mind share. I think I don't know if they and the fact that they probably been supporting like the software fine tuning for their hardware. But yeah, at the moment, AMD in a general picture has been very good regarding CPUs and even GPUs. Intel, no, AMD, sorry. But yeah, they are readying up for the refresh here. The CPUs will come like by the end of the year, I think, if not mistaken. But yeah. I spoke about, I think yesterday or the day before, that there is some BIOSes from a Giza 1.7, which one it is, the last one, 1.0.0.7b BIOSes that gives support to higher DDR5 speeds here. So, and there is like a gaming benchmark that was done. I think the conditions are all the same for all the things. So, but we don't have like specific games, like a very broad strokes kind of thing to have an idea of if effectively the fact that the CPUs can take advantage or not of this higher speed memory, and it doesn't seem to have like basically any difference. Here is like the CPUs, the DDR5s, and everything, and the averages here. I don't know, to bottleneck the CPU the best, usually it's go 1080p and go for a low high graphic options, so you can struggle to put some struggle on the CPU. I don't think it's the best one, 1440p, especially with this one, the 7950X is not bad, but the 7800 I think it's better than, for lack of a better term, and it seems that in the 7400 megahertz stuff, they do like the ratio 1 to 2. It doesn't have like any performance gains compared to the 6200 40 series, but the fact that they did only between those two, you don't have like the benchmark to compare, for example, for the 6000. Is it better? Is it not in terms of percentage wise? Is it the same? Yeah, but the fact that we have here, they mentioned here the configuration minor performance regression. So it seems at the moment regarding this specific test that they did in several games, they don't mention the games, what kind of more stuff they did. So it's a little bit not that comprehensive, this test, but yeah, it seems, at least from this experience that they did, that it doesn't bring like extra performance compared between the 6200 and 7400. But yeah, we'll wait and see. For sure, Hardware Unbox might do something in this kind of performance. They usually are really good doing this kind of testing here. But yeah, at the moment it seems that the preliminary tests doesn't seem like uplift between these two speeds here. But the fact that they put here on the 1 to 2 ratio, which is I don't know how to explain, because even I don't understand pretty well, but I know if the ratio is 1 to 1 in terms of instructions per cycle, I think it's called, basically between memory and CPU. I think don't quote on me with this information, but I think the 1 to 1 ratio is the best one. There are ways to go about it. If you Google it, for sure you have like there is a way to put the ratio 1 to 1, which is you just need to Google it to put the ratio 1 to 1 between CPU and DDR5. But yeah, at the moment this is the info that we got. And lastly, there was the Armored Core 6, the story trailer that went out yesterday. At least I covered yesterday. It's again, I repeat myself by saying that it looks pretty good, very interesting, a lot of mystery and intrigue there. There is like almost basically a breakdown from Factor Life on the trailer, and as always they do pretty good coverage. Again, I always try to support them the best way I can, at least putting out their stuff that I find it interesting, and they're basically independent news sites with a lot of guides, wikis, some news also. They do some streams. At the moment they are offline at the moment for recording, but yeah, the guides and wikis for their games are very comprehensive, and I always enjoy and when I have any doubts in those guides and wikis, you get everything cleared up. But yeah, always check them, bookmark them if you can, and if you like following this kind of morely RPG kind of stuff here. Because there is not a lot of stuff, I'm just going to recommend some wishlist games, which is one of them is Sandland. Seems pretty interesting. I think we're going to have more news, if not now, on San Diego Comic Con, Gamescom by the end of the next month in August, so in about a month or so we might have some more stuff here. It will come out, I think next year, if not mistaken. It's one of those that it's, I think it's worth a bookmark here. Also, I'm going to butcher this, Nazralaf, The Fallen World. No release date yet, but the trailers that they came out seems very good. At least the themes and the setup here very dark stuff here, very dark fantasy indeed. I think that it's based on some, inspired by titles such as Planescapes, Torment Soul, Dark Souls, of course, and well, the twisted works of this person, and H.P. Lovecraft. It is very reminiscent of this kind of dark fantasy stuff. I really enjoy this kind of things. And yeah, it's one of those for bookmark. We don't have a lot of information, just 1 or 2 trailers here and there. I think it's well worth at least keep an eye on it, so we can check when it comes out. And lastly, we got Nightingale. Seems pretty interesting. At the moment it's early access. Again, I don't recommend going about on early access stuff. It's an open world survival craft. It doesn't have per se, it's not multiplayer, even though I think we have like some co-op stuff here and there. It's a survival crafting stuff here. Seems pretty interesting. At least the art style and everything, and like kind of Victorian age stuff here. It piqued my interest a few months ago. I thought it was like a multiplayer game at first, at least from the first time I saw the game, but then I managed to check that it isn't multiplayer. So I always like some kind of survival crafting game that calls my attention, that it's worth spending some time, because when you start doing this thing and you start investing time, you just don't waste, but you burn a lot of hours in a game like this. So it has to be pretty good to convince me to invest my time on it. And this one seems pretty interesting how they're going about it, with a lot of fantasy stuff here also, the monsters, and here the I don't know if they call it these trolls or something like that. Seems pretty interesting. And I'm going to close up with just one gaming deal, very quiet on the gaming deal still, which is the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. Oh, sorry, it's not a gaming deal. I don't have gaming deals for today. Yeah, I forgot that. This is also for a wish list, I'm so sorry. Which is coming 24th of October. I'm really psyched up for this one. I played the first one and the second one on the consoles when they came out. I didn't play afterwards any of the other ones, like the third one, which is always forget. The third one, Metal Gear Solid. Where is it? It's not here. It's on the collection. Let's see. I always forget. Snake Eater? Yes, Snake Eater. Sorry, I always confuse the names here. The Snake Eater. I didn't play this one, even though it's one of the better ones in terms of gameplay loop. But yeah, it's one of to keep an eye on it. I will leave links on the description below for all of this. And I'm going to wrap up for today, guys, with my GoGetFriendly for me to operate my PC to get better, more content for my private clients, and start doing some video stuff for them also, besides of the writing content that I've been doing for them. And of course, in my free spare time, doing the daily videos with better quality, resuming some gameplay series, also doing some scripted content for me to get in some deep dives and some stuff that I like to talk about, and probably doing some live streams in the near future. And with all that said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.